What is up, guys? So we recently got some pretty huge news about Crisis on Infinite Earths and about the Arrowverse. So I'll get right into it because you saw based on the title and the thumbnail that Tom Welling, who played Clark Kent on Smallville, not Superman until at the very end, is returning for Crisis on Infinite Earths, and that basically means that Smallville is joining the Arrowverse. So that's 10 extra seasons joining the Arrowverse, a lot of continuity, a lot of DC heroes, especially if we're counting the season 11 comics. Which about that, I'll go over right now a couple of things that were said about this casting for the upcoming crossover. First of all, it's been mentioned that the crossover will explain what has happened to Tom Welling's Clark Kent in the 10-year gap, or actually 9-year gap, following the Smallville finale. So in that finale, I'm pretty sure Clark Kent just became Superman and took down Darkseid or something like that. And then there was the season 11 comics, which saw him team up with Batman, Wonder Woman, the Green Lantern Corps, the Legion of Superheroes, or a big part, just a lot more of the Legion of Superheroes, a lot of DC heroes who didn't appear on the show. I don't know if the season 11 comics will be canon. If they are, that's a lot of continuity and a lot of characters being added to the Arrowverse's multiverse. But everything between the season 11 comics, if they're canon, and now will all be explained in the upcoming crossovers. So definitely a lot of this version of Superman's career as the character. And Mark Guggenheim, the showrunner behind Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow for a while, and also the co-writer of the upcoming crossover, along with the original writer of the comic book, Marv Wolfman, said this about the Tom Welling casting, and I quote, "For 8 years, Arrow has stood on the shoulders of Smallville. Simply put, there would be no Arrow and no Arrowverse without it, so when we first started talking about Crisis on Infinite Earths, our first, second, and third priorities were getting Tom to reprise his iconic role as Clark Kent. To say that we're thrilled would be a Superman-sized understatement, so obviously, this is definitely something they wanted to do for a while. I mean, considering the crossovers about the multiverse, it makes a lot of sense that they would include another DC show on the CW, just like Black Lightning. Now, when he said that there would be no Arrow and no Arrowverse without Smallville, that is both kind of figurative and literal. There would literally be no Arrow without Smallville because Arrow initially was going to be a spin-off show starring Justin Hartley's Green Arrow from Smallville, but then they opted for a new continuity and they opted for a reboot and casting Stephen Amell instead. But also figuratively, as I'm pretty sure Smallville was kind of like something that the CW was kind of trying out, like a DC show on their network, and if that didn't end up doing well, then they wouldn't really ever do it again. So Arrow, The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, all those shows, they probably would never do that. So definitely Smallville was the catalyst for Arrow and the Arrowverse in more ways than one. Like Mark Guggenheim has said, Stephen Amell, the actor who plays Oliver Queen, also said something about this. He said there would be no crossover, or talking about the upcoming crossover specifically, without Tom Welling, so Tom Welling is in the crossover. So yeah, this all means that he's going to be in the crossover, but what does that mean for the actual crossover itself and for the Arrowverse? Because now, going into the crossover, we're going to be getting not one, not two, but 3 separate Supermen from 3 separate continuities. The first one, from when they appeared, was actually Tom Welling's Superman, who first appeared in 2001 when Smallville debuted. He became Superman in 2011, but the actual Clark Kent, in terms of when he appeared for the first time, that was first. Then there's Brendan Routh Superman from Superman Returns, and finally Tyler Hoechlin Superman, technically the newest character who ever appeared on screen, but he's been Superman for just as long, if not even longer, than the other characters. Definitely been Superman himself for a lot longer than Tom Welling's character, but those will be 3 different Superman all in this one crossover, which is going to be insane. But actually, as crazy as it sounds for there being 3 separate Supermen in the upcoming crossover, this is not unexpected and not comic book inaccurate, as in the original crossover, the Crisis did actually focus on 3 separate Supermen, mainly on 2 of them, but there was another one there. Now, the 3 Supermen were from Earth 1, Earth 2, and Earth Prime. Earth 1 is Clark Kent, aka Superman, the main universe version. Earth 2 is Clark Kent, aka Superman, the original Superman, who was then later revealed to be from a separate universe to the main one. But then there's Earth Prime Superman, which is actually Superboy, but that's definitely 3 different Clark Kents from 3 different universes and 3 different technical Supermans, one of them being Superboy, but still, who were actually majorly focused on in the original comic book. And actually, all three versions of Superman from the original comic book survived the crisis, as Earth 1 Superman remained the main Superman in the new Earth. The Earth 2 Superman did survive, and his universe actually did combine into, or was one of the universes that did combine to New Earth, but he actually didn't survive that, as it was really mainly the Earth 1 version of Superman's continuity that survived, but the Earth 2 Superman survived by being outside of the universes in the Anti-Monitor's realm, I'm pretty sure, but something like that. Similarly, Superboy Prime survived in the same way, or actually Superboy, he later became Superboy Prime, the main villain of a follow-up to Crisis on Infinite Earths, another event, Infinite Crisis, where he was the actual main villain. But the fact that there were three Supermen in the original comic book, and it seems like now there will be three separate Superman, Tyler Hoechlin Superman, Tom Welling Superman, and Brandon Routh Superman in the crossover, that definitely is not a coincidence, as I feel like that part of the crossover will be very comic book accurate in terms of which one of these Supermen will remain the main Superman in the Arrowverse. I'd probably guess Tyler Hoechlin Superman, even though I don't think he's the most popular out of the three. That probably is the Tom Welling, as he's appeared a lot more, and also he was the main character of a TV show that lasted 10 seasons. But the fact that Tyler Hoechlin was the first Superman in the Arrowverse, the fact that he's the main character, the main actor who played him in the Arrowverse for a while, I feel like it's probably going to be Tyler Hoechlin Superman who's the main Superman that survives. But just like the comic, it's very possible that Tom Welling Superman and Brandon Routh Superman will both also survive in some way or another, but probably won't be, Superman himself in the new Earth, if that happens. Now, getting beyond the crazy fact that there will be three Supermen in the upcoming crossover, one of them will be from Smallville, the fact that the Smallville continuity is now part of the Arrowverse multiverse is insane on its own, as that adds a lot of different DC heroes, mainly Aquaman. I mean, the fact that there's not been a single Aquaman in anything associated to the Arrowverse is insane, but now there is. There's also Zatanna, there's also Dr. Fate. His helmet did appear in Constantine, but there's never been a wearer. Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Impulse. If we're counting the season 11 comics, and Green Lantern, Batman, but he kind of does exist in the Arrowverse, but Wonder Woman is another character who has had no mention in the Arrowverse at all, except for a reference, or actually a visit to Themyscira, kind of, but I mean, Wonder Woman herself, there's been nothing out of her, but there's definitely a lot of DC heroes. I forgot to mention Cyborg, although the actor who played him actually died a while back, the actual character did exist, and he might still, I don't know, they probably wouldn't actually do that, but I mean, that is definitely a lot of DC heroes who now exist in the Arrowverse's continuity in the multiverse, even though I don't really think these heroes were very good iterations of these characters, and they definitely don't look good. Like, the costumes are pretty bad, but other than that, I think that this is definitely really cool. It's a great addition to the Arrowverse, as Smallville is a pretty complete DC universe, or at least it is after you include the season 11 comic books, as it has its own Justice League, its own Teen Titans, and I think that they did a good job of that in the comics, so that is definitely pretty awesome that's all being added to the Arrowverse. So anyway, that is it for this video. Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below about the fact that Tom Welling Superman is appearing in the upcoming crossover, and the fact that the Smallville continuity and all 10 seasons of it, and probably the tie-in comics, are all now in the Arrowverse's multiverse. And do you think Smallville will be one of the 5 universes that is combined into the new Earth? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.